driving the 53 Tide Ride, and you're watching ONTrack Weekly.
Well, hello everybody. Cam K here with you. It's a little bit different of a look tonight. If you don't know, been down for about a week with a bad back, so we're just trying something a little bit different here. Let me know if you can hear me. If it's too loud, I can turn it down. But thanks to Steve Oakes for that great intro. I really appreciate all the drivers that have provided an intro for ONTrack Weekly. Of course, if you're a racer in Ontario, you want to provide one, just send me a little video, 10 seconds or so, saying your name, where you drive, what your sponsors are, what division, and you're watching ONTrack Weekly. And we'll gladly put you in as one of our intro drivers and showcase you. You got the beautiful picture of Steve's Tide Ride. And definitely exciting to be back once again for episode 111 of the show. I know we're expecting a quiet and a bit of a small audience tonight. Not a ton of racing stuff to talk about. There's not a whole bunch going on, unfortunately, because it is the off season. But on our podcast, Stickers and Scuffs, got lots of stuff going on, very busy. Trying to get things going as we start our SNS Live on Friday. And, you got the phone pulled up for comments, so we can take a look at that. We'll try and do some conversation, talk about some of the movement potentially for next year. And I put out a hypothetical this a couple hours ago. And thank you, Dave. Yeah, we're looking into potentially what off-season moves are going to be made, and there's potentially right now looking to be a lot of them. And this is one of those things that I feel it's important to track this type of stuff. We want to. I know we tend to go a little bit quiet when the off-season starts, but as we talked about on the show before, I think there's of big importance to making sure that we're following along in what's going on, not just what happens at the drivers' meetings, the competition meetings that take place at the tracks in the off season, but also the moves that are being made, those that are not going to be back next year, those that are switching divisions. Just continue to try and build the hype and give the sponsors and the people that run the tracks as much love as possible. The tracks in the series, mind you. There's already been some pretty big names that we've seen that are making moves, and I think there's going to be a lot more, frankly, in the off season, because we're only a couple of weeks into it. As Matt Bray says, hope everyone's off season is going well. We just got to think a couple of months until Motorama. We've definitely got the Snowball Derby, which the breaking news today, Caden Lapsevich going to head down and run the Snowball Derby with Taylor Holdaway's team. So a pretty big deal for them if they are looking for partnerships. So you want to be a part of one of Canada's greatest exports, which is Caden Lapsevich, and be a part of one of the biggest late model events in America, which is routinely putting on one of the best shows that we see. We've seen Kyle Steckley, Trayton Lapsovich be down there, Glenn Stires be down there in the past. Hopefully we get to see a couple more drivers out there. Love to see the BT guys head down there again. That was fun. Han Motorsports. I wasn't at the Snowball, but they were down in Florida for, I believe it was Auburndale, perhaps. Um, they were a big part of it last year. Stanley, Daniel Hahn, um, um, McLennan, and Dominique Smith. So hopefully we get a couple more competitors to be out and a part of things for the Snowball Derby once again this offseason. I'm sure we see Kyle Steckley down there. I can't see that he wouldn't be a part of it. Trayton Lapsovich, if he gets the opportunity to as well. Obviously, a long season for Trayton being a part of the Cars Tour, and hopefully he'll get an opportunity to run once again next year. I think he's proven that he belongs there, as did Kyle Steckley. Chase Pinsino would be somebody else. Hopefully we'll get to see the Snowball Derby this year. Lots of talent, really, from Canada that's been down there, and we'll be curious to see who else joins them in terms of the racers from Canada. How is the back? It's bad. Pops. Uh it's been eh, I believe it's the SI joint again, which comes obviously from sitting for long periods of time and trying now to. I've tried to start walking every day and trying to get healthier, and unfortunately my body just doesn't like that right now. So we're hoping I'm hoping tomorrow with some another chiropractic visit that because that's what helped me last time with my SI joint. um is hopefully we can get that fixed. It's mainly just really uncomfortable at doing anything right now, standing, walking, especially sitting, going from standing to sitting. So it and for all I know, I sneezed and threw it out, right? Like it just, unfortunately, it's just been one of those weeks where I went from one thing to another thing to another thing. But luckily, we're here where we're talking about motorsports and especially motorsports in Canada. We've got some movement that we can talk about. That's on the chart for this week. I don't have it prepped, but we'll just go through some of the names that we've got here that I was able to pull up. And then I put a hypothetical out there tonight, which was I put it out to the audience that about a couple hours before the show started about a driver that is in a division that you would like to see that isn't in that division currently, that you'd like to see be a part of it in the 2025 season. So we got a couple of interesting names that are on there, but in terms of movements that we've added to our list from last week, Andy Camrath working officially on an Ontario Legend for 2025. That is a fantastic get for the Ontario Legend Car Series. If, of course, that's where he's going to end up. If he's going to do a couple of those, if he's going to do a full season, if he's going to do Great Lakes Legends races at all. Anytime you get Andy Camrath racing, I'm interested. And I love the idea of him going from modifieds to doing a couple super stock races this year, and then going out and doing and now doing a legend. Where personally, I think your future right now in Ontario, the Legend Car Series is hot. It's getting even hotter. You had 20 odd cars participating in several events, 25 plus. You had to send cars home. Um, this series is hot. It's got young kids coming into it, especially you got, like we mentioned, Jake Spencer Walt, one of the highlights to come into that division. Keaton Pipe coming into that division. We've got other names that are going to be moving into the Legend Car Series. Cole Camrath is one of the other names that we've seen that's gone into the Legend Cars. And then you've also got the other very similar INEX business, which is the Bandolero division, which is also looking to get a big upgrade as well in 2025. It would appear that so far we've already seen, as we mentioned already, we already have racers that have committed to Bandoleros for next year. And I really think that your INEX partnership, that is just going to pay dividends for everybody. Personally, I love the junior late model division too. I don't like how much they travel um, in terms of literally the bounciness. Now, obviously, that's with a lot of different vehicles that you'll get that, but for these young racers, I don't particularly like seeing that, and then seeing how they flipped easily. We don't want to see that either. So, I mean, Rob Ferguson in the chat can attest. Ollie Ferguson flipped, I think, 3 times in a junior late model over his short time in that division. Josh Davenport had a huge flip in them. Brody Coates flipped this year. We don't really want that for these young kids to be flipping right away. That's and as far as my understanding is that these Bandoleros are a much um, structurally different car, but they're also a lot harder for them to do that. Now, I don't disagree that that junior late models still, I think they still do have a place. Personally, I would like it to be what I see, at least junior late models, your 5 to 12 years old racers, and because what we're generally seeing now is kids that tend to get into the 13, 14, 15. By the time they're in that age group, they are normally a lot faster than all the other kids in the division. So if you keep it low and go 5 to 12 or 6 to 12, and then Bandoleros you have 12 to 16, gives another spot before they get into a bone stock. And I, not that I don't think that drivers can get into bone stocks or mini stocks, but in terms of a price point, in terms of um, keeping them in kind of their same level, I kind of like that idea. Obviously, it's a little bit different for, like, say, Ollie, for example, went from junior late models all the way up to OSS and succeeded kind of right away. Um, that's not going to be for everybody. And so having a middle ground for racers that go from one thing to another thing, then to the bigger divisions, I think that's a great move. Um, and what I really like and what they've been selling me on has been the fact that you can get the INX parts, which is obviously a huge thing. And the other thing, which is huge, is that you can take your INX car and you can travel um, to the Maritimes and race, or you can go down south and race. Hell, we could have some of our kids here. Yes, we want to see them during our racing season, but they could go down and make a couple starts at Charlotte for the summer shootout series. That's an entirely real possibility. We've seen Mitch Wright go down there and he races. I think he does Atlanta, at the Atlanta bull ring there. Um, Dawson Jeremy, I believe, has been down there a couple of times as well. So, and obviously Parker Traves. So there's definitely a lot of possibilities with that brand, and we're already seeing drivers that were in junior late models that are moving on and are going to try the Bandoleros. Now, we don't have any indication yet what that plan is going to be like, what they're going to do. Obviously, they had limited starts, more exhibition races at Peterborough Speedway in 2024. Whether they're going to take that on the road and do more of a traveling division across Ontario, that will be very interesting to see. Um, Personally, again, if they're going along with the Legend Car series, that's a natural fit because you've got two IX divisions. And then again, what I like is that you have something like a proper ladder system where you could theoretically have guys go from junior late models to Bandoleros to Legend Cars, all within that kind of 5 to 17, 18 years old range. And then maybe if you have the funding, then you can go into a bone stock, mini stock. I think that's a smart idea. I don't think we need to be rushing kids getting into um the huge divisions, super stocks, and because again, when we get in there and we're jumping from a division, yeah, sure, junior late models are just, I mean, they're expensive as well, but there's a considerable difference between going there to than the super stocks and late models. But if we give a little more option and have a little more abilities to get racers seen, that's also going to benefit the Ontario racers. Names like Chase Pinsino, Trayton Lapsovich, them being so young in those divisions and being successful, that was a big showcase for their talent, and same with Kyle Steckley as well. And now they're seeing kind of that pay dividends, but that does not mean that every driver is going to be able to do that. Not everybody has a name like Steckley or Lapsevich or Pinsino where they can go and they have partnerships or they have teams that are willing to hire them. That is not going to be for everybody. So if we have more and more alternatives to the come in and rush your way through, I think it benefits. Some of the names that we're talking about that are making some changes. Obviously, we talked about Andy potentially moving into that legend car route. Glenn Morris's old car, so it is a solid piece. Amanda Balson did post on social media that her car is for sale, her hot rod. Now, that does not mean that she's out of the hot rods forever, but what it does mean is that there was a comment that she posted that she's going to try something new for 2025. Now, that is huge news for the division at Sunset Speedway because obviously she's been a huge part of the championship hunt for the last couple of seasons. And it also means that will slot somebody else in. Obviously, you've got the two Walter brothers that are always going to be up front, the Rob Bromleys of the world, Tyler Hans. But who else is going to come in that division next year? Well, we did get a little bit of an awareness as to somebody from Varney that's going into the Oscar Hot Rod division for next year, and that is Austin Etzel. And that's a great move, I think. I like seeing a champion like that move in. Now, he's a young kid, but he's getting an opportunity. Picked up Dave Evison's old Chevy 215 car. Dave Evison, they're obviously moving on from that car. What they're going to do next year, that's the interesting thing. I'm curious to see what Dave Evison does out of Delaware in the Oscar Hot Rod Series. Mike Howard out of the Bone Stocks. That is the father of Jesse and Cassie Howard. Moving on from the Bone Stock division, they're going to go run the V8 stocks next year at Delaware Speedway. And then Keith Temple actually just put this one up there, running the late model division out at Sunset in the number 14, retiring after this racing season. So he is officially moving on from being a competitor. We've got a couple more names. You've got Darren Glavin, who's going to come out of retirement, do some enduros and possibly some bone stock racing. Eric Stewart going to come out and do some part-time racing as well. I know that Corey McAllister, he's got cars all over the place for sale. I know they've had the 71 Hot Rod for sale. He's got two OSS cars for sale, the late models for sale. You can't tell me that Corey McAllister does not have stuff going on for next season. But all these moves coming around is extremely exciting, and I think it's something that we don't talk about a lot. We don't have people that want to talk about it. We don't really track it. So I'm thinking that's what we can do this off season is see some news. Hopefully talk about stuff once it comes out, and I hope that we don't have divisions that wait until the very end. That they do start talking about what's happening for next year. We are going to find out really soon because there are going to be meetings, banquets and such. We've already had award banquets and season ending for APC, for Delaware Speedway. They've already had theirs. I think Full Throttle may have already had theirs as well. I could be wrong on that. Or sorry, not Full Throttle, Grand Bend. You'll have OSS coming up in November. I believe Outlaw Midgets is coming up in November as well. Tracks are going to, as we see now, jumping all over the place. We are going to see who is going to be who's going to be where in 2025. I see lots of opportunities for people, and I'm really hoping that we can see everybody have a healthy season. It's not easy to get people to come out and join divisions. And as of right now, yes, Matt Bray makes a big point here, and this is actually the division that I do believe next year is going to be even bigger than it was. And Matt Bray is right, and that's the hot rod division. We really want to look at this and go, hey, technically now, if you have a hot rod, you can run at Sauble in their V8 division. You can run in the not the V8 division, sorry, the United 8 division. V8s at Delaware, hot rods at Varney, hot rods in Sunset, and the Oscar hot rod division. So there's so many places you can race hot rods, and as long as they can tighten up the screws, I think that's what's really important is we don't want to see as many wrecks, and there's been a lot of that in that division. Um, Classying up the joint. Let's just say that. Let's not have racers um, act like donkeys in heat races. We don't need that. Uh, we don't need. We need to be bringing people into the class and showing them how to race, not wrecking each other. Um, and Calvin Reeser brings up a great point about Varney for next year. $2,000 to win the championship in a bone stock next year. And that's got a lot of people interested. And they've already put their. And this is the one thing I will say about Paul. Uh, Full Throttle Motor Speedway does not mess around when it comes to their plans and when they want to get going. They do the registrations really early. They put their prize money up. I think they didn't have the season that they were hoping at Varney, unfortunately. I think, some of the counts got a little bit low, especially the junior late models this past year. I'm not saying the competition wasn't good. It was definitely good. The Busiks, Emma Vale as a part of it, and of course Grayson Mason, who won the championship. I'm curious to see where he goes because to me, that kid's got a ton of talent. Whether he goes to dirt or whether he wants to stay on asphalt, Mason's Grayson Mason has been a highlight out at in that division. Um, but so that they saw it a little bit lower on those counts for this year for their juniors, but um, there's no doubt that their hot rod class is gaining momentum. It's growing, and of course their pure stock division, which did get quite a lot of people out there and visiting this year. And now when you have somebody like Austin Etzel, potentially Dustin Johnston, also moving on from that division, depending again, salary, prize money means a lot to people, and if they can win $2,000 at the end of the season for the championship, definitely interesting. We'll probably bring some more people out to Varney next year, and um, I, I'm not I don't want to send anybody away from any track that they're currently at right now. But I, for one, would actually love to see Calvin Reeser try and chase a championship out there in that 49 car, if he's going to run the 49 again next year. Um, see what Nissans can do up at Varney. But and that's what's exciting, as I think having the ability to have different divisions. I put this post up on social media just about, I want to say it was like 2 hours ago. Yeah, 2 hours ago. And I said, give us an Ontario racer, something, and a name of the division or series that you want to see them race in the next season that they didn't run this year. And I've gotten a ton of response already, so we'll go through and I want to hear from you in the chat, you that are watching on YouTube and on Facebook, which one you would agree with. And so we got Ray Morneau to the super late model division. Very interesting. I like that idea a lot. I really like that idea because, Ray in anything really, I think Ray is a star, and I think he's one of the more underrated racers that maybe doesn't get enough attention. Yes, he's won the late model championship at Delaware twice now, but he's somebody that hopefully will get the opportunity once again to run APC. I've got Brad Schmitz as Chris Allard in the super stocks. I'd be okay with him doing anything as well. Somebody else posted about him doing a hot rod deal. I would like to see that as well. Mike Thompson says Mike Thompson in a pro late. Can't deny that. I'd say, trying to get some of these guys out there. We got Graydon Bunn for an Outlaw super late, Graydon Bunn for the pace truck. For some reason, people decided to put me in this. I'm not a racer, but thank you. Jillian Hills in a pro late model. That's an interesting one. I wouldn't mind seeing Jillian Hills try that. We've got, Jack Dixon decided to put me in bone stock at Delaware, and I don't think that's a good idea at all. If I was going to do it, it would need to be on a very, 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 very empty track. That's the only way I'm getting out there doing that. I've got Ashley saying Colton Everingham in a junior late or a Bandolero, which would definitely be interesting. Jason Metcalf for Ontario Legends. I wouldn't mind that either. I put J.R. Fitzpatrick in an Ontario Legend car for next year. I would love to see that. Michael Robinson in a hot rod or an OSS car. I wouldn't mind seeing that young kid out there. Ollie Ferguson in an APC late model. You got Cascar Legends in bone stocks like IROC but short tracks. Corey McAllister in a Legend or a Super Late. And then I got Wally Wilson in a Pro 4 modified. So lots of creative interest. Brad Holmes in a bone stock. I would like to see that as well. And you know what? Why do we do this type of stuff? Well, I definitely think that one of the things that makes it exciting is the what ifs. You know, I would put out there I want to see Sean Chenoweth in a Legend car. I think it would be hilarious. Yeah, guys wins in everything else. But the main reason is I want to see him and Andy Camrath race each other. You know, Sauble Pops, yeah, that would probably be the other choice just because of, you know, they don't have like 40 cars to race against. That would be the attraction. However, though, the attraction for next year at Sauble Speedway for the Epic Raceware Bone Stock division potentially could be much bigger. And Andy Camera says Sean Chenoweth will be in a Legend. Stay tuned. Don't tease, Andy. That better happen. I want to see you guys go straight up Legend car racing. Throw Amanda in there, make it an LRR, and Phil, make it an LRR Legend car foursome in an event. I feel like this division is it's on its way. So close. Like it seems not just the Ontario Legend cars, but the Great Lakes Legends as well. I mean, they could have upwards of 30 to 40 cars. With the amount of people that they don't want to spend the stupid money that a lot of these divisions take now, and parts and being able to race elsewhere. It's a huge attraction to be going to race elsewhere. It's taking a perfect example. Like if Andy Camrath wants to go run the Legend Car event during the IWK 250 weekend, he could do that. That's completely possible. And I look at that and go, that's one of those things that while Ontario Junior Late models are great, they don't offer that opportunity because that's something that is only done in our province. So I don't want them to go away, but I do love the idea of having it open. So hell, if you want to have a whole bunch of guys from Ontario go and race the IWK 250 weekend at Riverside Speedway, they could do it. They might don't have to drag out a super stock. They don't have to drag out a super late model or a pro late. They can go out there with a Legend car and show them who's boss. You know, I love that idea. I love the opportunity of seeing where this division can go, where it will continue to go, and the talent that's in there. I think you're going to see more. I mean, you've got young kids coming in that division. We already talked about Jake. We already talked about Cole Camrath coming in. There's a lot of other young racers that I think could look at this. I would see like a Josh Davenport going that way as well. The Legends are offering this big opportunity, this big stage for people to race in the future, and like the Bandoleros are as well. Now, I haven't seen enough of the Bandoleros yet. They did have a bit of a rough go at the Autumn Colors. They had some mechanical troubles. They had Ben Hodgson doing his ride along, which was amazing. I loved that. It was fantastic stuff. I don't think the car should have broke like that. I don't know what entirely happened there. I'm sure that Jeff and the entire team would diagnose that no problem and figure out what happened there. But if they can have that division just the same, and you start getting people coming in that want to race Bandoleros from a younger age, If you're going to get adults coming in and running it too, I mean, why not build a division that way? But I think things are looking really good in that sense. And if you're going to get names like potentially, like I said, Andy Camrath or Sean Chenoweth or J.R. Fitzpatrick even, to come in and do legend car races, and especially when you have an event like, say, like the Two Speed Nationals, um, that builds and builds and builds and makes it a very, very big event. Um, but with the legend cars, you can do stuff where you could have 15 of our guys go down and run a summer shootout race. I mean, that's something that would be huge for the Ontario racing scene. Get racers that we have be a part of the show, and there's definitely an audience there. There's no denying that Charlotte would be a huge get for a lot of those racers. But then you look at it and go, the success rate that we've seen with the junior late models out at Peterborough Speedway, they got it working there. Like, they've got lots of kids joining in their division. They had something like 22, I think it was, for ACC, and that's including racers from other tracks. But we didn't even have any, I don't believe, from Varney, and we didn't have that many from Sunset, and you didn't even get everybody that was a part of the division from Peterborough. So all of a sudden now, if all those kids want to move up, but they don't have the opportunity or they don't have the way to do it, having a Bandolero is a nice way to slide in there potentially. Then you get into the Legend Car Series. Then they could go into, say, a mini stock, or a bone stock. God forbid they want to do a bone stock. Um, but this is obviously a great opportunity. And like I said, the other pieces, the other suggestions that people had for seeing people seeing some Ontario racers in other divisions. I think that it's exciting because it gives potential interest to some other names. I've heard some names rumbling, potentially going into the OMRS next year, and that's a division that could really benefit for some fresh blood. I know the Pro 4 Modifieds there. I got a message from one of their people, and he's really wanting to push this division for next year and really trying to get on the social media side of it. I worked for OSS for the last 3 years, trying to do the same thing, and I think it's going to help all these divisions by continuously bringing in and having people switch and move places. And um, if all these plans kind of come together, I think it's just going to strengthen everything. Uh, I would love to see what they kind of had. I know Delaware kind of had it planned, but a Legends race for the Legends. I mean, that was my suggestion last year. Um, just because I thought super stocks are they're very expensive. Not saying that these aren't, but the availability of parts and stuff is a little bit easier. You do something with Inex, and if you put together Legends, let's take a perfect example. Have something like a Legends of Ontario race where you get guys that are old cast car champions, you get or you get champions from last year from different divisions. So take super late champion J.R. Fitzpatrick, take Carson Nagy, take Chris Allard, take let's see, who else would I get? You could get Mason Culver from Varney. It's Sauble Chant, like Pat Farrow. Get all these champions come together and make this like huge event. Obviously, you got to get cars and you got to get people involved, but like I said, this is what having a huge division like this offers. We know that there's NASCAR years ago used to do these special events for legend car races during summer shootout where they would have quote unquote celebrities be a part of it. And I love that idea of having um, maybe the Two Speed Nationals have a section in it specifically for that, where you have a celebrity pro-am race or something like that, where yes, you have your main show for the Two Speed Nationals, but then you also could have a part of that show being dedicated to racers of the past. If somebody stick Andy Warbutton back in a legend car, I don't know where he is at right now, but um, that's a name that I knew of from years ago. being a part of the legend car division. And I think you put hell, you put Alex Nagy in the car, you put um, Mike Herniak, you put you know, geez, DJ Kennington. You put guys from all different walks of racing, um, and put on a show. And I think that Peterborough for me is obviously that's a place where I think these legend cars they rock it around there, and really nice and close. I think Sunset obviously, but personally I thought the two speed nationals at Sauble last year was a fantastic move. I think those cars work really well there. If they can limit the amount of cautions, um, that's obviously ideal. But uh, yeah, the amount of opportunity that you can do with a division and multiple. You have to remember they got the Great Lakes Legends as well, and they've also really started to build that division up as well. So I really like the idea of I know that Two Speed Motorsports put it up to a vote last year, but I personally would love to see it come back as a second year event and grow on it, build it even more. Hell, you could have just 6 legend cars that if they can manage that somehow, you put 6 cars out there and have 6 different people from larger divisions go out and race. Um, they have to race their way into the big show or something. Like, I don't know. I'm throwing ideas out there. And make it like the All-Star race in a way. Like it is, um, we have opportunities to do this. Let's see. Ooh. Uh, Shows like the Two Speed Nationals is one of the reasons that piqued our interest in Legends, and that's Andy points that out. Andy Camerath, a voice of a racer who has raced a lot of things in Ontario and knows kind of where the heat is. And it just, to me right now, it seems the best bang for your buck is in the Legend Car series right now, and it seems to be competition wise, it's definitely growing. Now they had to work a little bit on their cautions. At ACC, it was a little slow going, but I like the way that they're being run. I like the way that they are operated during race nights. Where, listen, if they're gonna take too long, they're gonna start cutting laps, or they're gonna start cutting cautions, or like counting caution laps. Uh, they did a lot of things this year with Great Lakes Legends, with Jen Hatch as well, where I think the two of them working together shows what all series need to think about, what all tracks need to think about. When you work together as a combined force, the strength can create a product, like, say, the Two Speed Nationals, that can be spectacular. And I think there's too much competition between everybody still. And I completely understand that. It is the hardest thing is to try and get fans and keep them. Now, Peterborough, I don't think had any issues this year. Sunset, I don't know if they had issues, but there are other tracks I think that week to week, it's not about overloading the card. And I think that gets lost. I think the more that you put as much as you possibly can on the card, they think that's gonna attract. And I think what it does is it actually just it hurts because the quality isn't always as good because all of a sudden everything's falling behind. It's much easier to have a show where you have maybe 3 or 4 divisions and you end early. Um, if you can get that, if you can have people being a part of it. I mean, we had time limits, I believe it was at Sauble. We talked about this last week, and I love that idea. I do. I think, um, listen, if your division is not working and you guys can't get it together, then you're going to start cutting laps, and it's not going to be fun, and it's not going to be fair. But we got to race a little bit better next time. Um, Having big names coming in as part of divisions. I mean, last year, or last 2 years even, OSS had Corey McAllister come in, Connor James, and they were attracting people that were interested in coming in to be a part of it. you got to put something together, a product together, and show something that's going to benefit the racers at the end of the day. And cost is everything. Partnerships is everything. Availability, but definitely the ability to go elsewhere is, I really think that's being forgotten about like that, how big of a deal that could really be. Being able to go down there and be seen, not just here, but like going for an IWK 250. Perfect example. If Rick Spencer Walt goes down there in a late model for Michael Gowdy, and then Jake can also go in his Legend, he could also race that weekend. I don't know if they do Bandoleros that weekend. I don't believe they do, but that also gives them the option to do that. So again, I know there was a lot of concern, a lot of worry with this happening, with Legends, or sorry, with Bandoleros coming in. But I think when we look and see kind of when you start breaking down the positives and the negatives, it doesn't mean that you have to get rid of one to have the other. But when you see about where there's other positives, so you heard it right from Andy Kamrath, who said it's events like the Two Speed Nationals that pique their interest even in that division. So the more and more that the investment is made within certain divisions, a lot of people were pushing for the hot rods. And I think it came down to between hot rods and legends last year. Partnerships matter. Two Speed put a huge amount of work into that. And, we at SNS, we'd love to do something of the sort. Don't have the money that Two Speed has, but if you can build it, you can promote it, make it a big deal, showcase something different. I mean, I love that you have people that are looking at doing this that have raced other things, that have been in faster cars, that have been in tougher cars, but they're going to give it a different shot. They're going to go and try their best against the best legend car racers. And listen, you've got a tough group of racers out there. Cole McFadden, Matt Boyes, the Cuthbertsons, um, Jade Franklin, definitely have a ton of talent out there. One of my favorite names to say out there, Smokin' Joe Adams. I love seeing Smokin' Joe's 00. He wasn't at ACC, unfortunately. They were involved in a wreck. Then you got the JDC team with Dawson Jeremy and Caleb Jeremy. You have Keaton Pipe out there. I mentioned already Jake Spencer Walt, Two Speed Motorsports racer. You have the Latimers, Zach and Jordan Latimer. And it just continues. You get more and more and more. You got Austin Arnell in the Great Lakes Legends series, Zach Hatch out in the Great Lakes Legends series. We had Glenn Morris, unfortunately not going to be part of things for next year, but and then the more and more that you add to it, the bigger and bigger that division's going to get. And you've got some really good people that are promoting it, and that Robin Yongen working really hard to build the Legend Car series. And I think there's a bit more that they can do, in my opinion, and I think they're going that way. I think they're definitely getting to that point. I think Ilium Industries and the junior late model program is far from gone. I think there's still a lot of options there. Yes, you're going to have a lot of people, and this is what happens typically, is people flock to what's new and what's exciting, but that doesn't mean that that's like it's the death of one division. It doesn't mean that. Now, just using the resources and trying to, I think, keep people in racing rather than saying, I don't have it, I can't do this, I don't have the money, I don't have the parts, I don't have the time. Having options for people to go and try this division out is one thing. And I think, again, you take a kid like Chase Cousineau or Keegan Moat, they've aged out of the junior late model program. Well, I think it would be a lot easier for guys to go into a legend car than trying full size. You see all those big names, and I gotta sit on the back chute for an hour. I guess gotta say that I love with love, I swear. Um, yeah, I would say that. Yeah, Calvin. Yeah, they definitely uh, they need to tighten up the screws in terms of the contact. But uh, I think there's no shame in also running a division that you can afford, and I think that there's so many guys, and I've seen it already this offseason. There's some young racers that we're doing quite well in their division, and they're moving on, and everybody has their own reasons, but it's one of those, you could do that and it could go completely the wrong way. Um, and I don't think you want to do that. I'm going to be very curious to see what happens this offseason with who is going to go where. I mean, in terms of our junior late model program for next year, who's going to stay or who's going to go to, say, Bandoleros? That's going to be the big question mark. Are you stay local? Are you going to go out? Are you going to travel? All these decisions play a role. And here on GeForce TV, showcase as much as they can um, those names, but we do need uh, more coverage from racetracks, from divisions. A perfect example of Stafford Speedway put a whole bunch of their highlights. I was watching them on YouTube. People got to remember, YouTube is one of the kings of getting interest. I think TikTok is another one. TikTok is we've seen on, at least on our podcast. I don't post there that much, but the interest there, it wavers, but you can hit something, you can put something out there, and it can go. I got I took a video of one of the accidents from Delaware Speedway on Rogers TV, and got over 40,000 views on it. If you can hit view counts, the interest is there. I mean, he's got something like 800 followers or something like that on TikTok, and we've posted 1,000 more videos. Well, not 1,000, but a ton more videos on our YouTube channel. But you go where the attraction is. So all of a sudden, these racing series, all of a sudden, you post those Legends clips. You post where and who is going to be part of things. We're a little bit late to the game, I think, in Ontario racing, but I think we're learning now that social media is key. It's king. A lot of businesses, a lot of companies, that's what they want. Tracks, I don't want to be on you about this, but all tracks, you've got to get a social media person that is not just posting articles, that's not just posting results or pictures. They've got to be doing Instagram, they've got to be doing TikTok, they've got to be putting videos out there. Everybody has one of these nowadays. Everybody's got a phone. And you don't need the biggest, baddest, best phone out there to be able to do interviews. You get a driver after the race and you ask them questions and post it. Easiest thing to do for your track, easiest thing to do for your divisions, your racers. I know we tend to leave a lot of it up to the racers to do that, or to other media people to do it, but I think it helps the tracks a lot if you start putting that type of stuff out there. Content, people love it. Um, Websites are another thing. I've talked about this before several times on this show, that if you're a racing division, you need to have a website updated. Get me pictures of the cars, driver information, their sponsors. It's extremely important. Bandoleros are only at Peterborough, correct? Any input if they're coming to other tracks? I don't know. Pops, I believe that was last year, that they were strictly a Peterborough exhibition division, meaning they only did, I think, 6 races last year. I have no idea though if they are going elsewhere. But I would think if they're going to expand it, they're going to have to. I don't know where. because again, other tracks they have strictly a junior late model division. So it I don't really know where the best option is. I personally think if they're gonna go somewhere, I would think that they're gonna go with the legend cars. It's the same, if I'm not mistaken, it's JDC Motorsports that runs both, um, and or that are a big part of the both divisions. And if they're gonna do that, it's probably better that they're all under one umbrella, I would think, than kind of all like this one's here and this one's here. If they're expanding that way, though, I mean, that's the big question mark is, are they going to do, because that's what's going to be interesting to see at Peterborough is, do they have a junior late division? And like, I don't know if they can add another division there full time. They've already got a good amount of divisions at that track. If they're going to potentially, then you do take a division out, that maybe doesn't have a big enough following, or doesn't have enough registrations. But I'm not JP. I'm not the team at Peterborough Speedway. I love the interest though. I love that we've got, a lot of question marks about it, and people are excited. I mean, I would love it if they traveled, because I would love to see how those cars kind of react at different tracks. I think they do really well at Sauble. I'm very curious how they would do at Varney. Sunset, I think they would be a good fit there as well. So, but the one thing I think that is the most important is I've talked to the young racers that have raced them, and they love them. And when it comes down to it, I think that's the biggest thing. If they love the cars and they love the way they drive more than what they were driving before, that's the approval sign right there. So we're approaching the end of episode 111 of the show, but I definitely want to say that we've got topics for days here. We've got people to talk about. We've got lots of great things to mention and to talk about. We'll go through each division, each series, talk about who's going, potentially who's not going, um, the season that was. And the one thing I think that I want to make sure that we also do is highlight some of the amazing people within the sport, and thank them for their hard work this year. And so today we really did focus on the Ontario Legend Car Series, and so I want to thank Trailers Plus. Trailers Plus was their primary partner. I believe it was their presenting partner of the title this year, and Trailers Plus really put the Ontario Legend Cars series together. Robin Yongen as well. Big props to him and to Jen Hatch. I think they did an amazing job this year in building the interest and building the division, putting on fantastic shows. I think that, yeah, they've got some things that they need to work on, but every track, every division, every series needs that. They always have a list of stuff that they would want to um, get better at and improve on for 2025. And I'm very excited to see where they go. So a big thank you to them, to Jeff Jeremy and JDC Motorsports for their work with INEX and building these divisions and building them strong. Um, we need this. We need divisions that have got um, a lot of potential. And I think that Legends, they were struggling for a bit. There's no doubt about it. They were. And now it looks like we got some jam here. We got some interest building, and people are interested in, as we talked about earlier in the show. And I think that's what we want to see for 2025. And what I'd like to see from you right now is, if you can, give us a thumbs up. That really helps the algorithm, helps us out on GeForce TV. Trying to get to 20,000 subscribers for GeForce TV. We're still at 19.4. We want to get to that 20,000 subscriber mark by the end of 2024. We've only got a little bit of time left to do it, but definitely subscribe to GeForce TV on YouTube if you want to get some amazing action from a Shriekin' Speedway. Before we go, though, we want to say RIP, and rest in good peace to Humberstone. I can't say that I knew a ton about dirt racing. I've seen a couple of races there on GeForce TV. It looked like a great facility. My man Graydon Bunn got his first ever legend car race on the dirt at Humberstone, and unfortunately they have closed their doors. And just like Barrie Speedway, just like Kawartha, just like Mossport Oval, that's another one. And we never, ever, ever want to have to say that. And I just thank you to the team that's been a part of Humberstone, and the people that made it special, the racers, the fans, those that were a part of it. Um, it sucks. It sucks that money and investments and land becomes more important than facility, but that is the way that the world is, and hopefully at some point we can talk about a track coming in rather than losing one. But um, have yourselves a great night, a great week. We'll be back for episode 112. I'll be hopefully I'll be hopefully I'll be all right by next week, and my back will be healed. Gonna go to the chiropractor tomorrow again and see if we can figure it out. Before we leave, Sean asked how I got into racing. My dad, um, we started watching Molson Indies on Global TV with coincidentally Todd Lewis and um, what was his name? I'm trying to remember. Jim. Oh, can't remember Jim. What was his last name? Uh, he was on TSN 1050 for a bit too, but um, their sports guy always used to do the races there as well, and so we started with that, and then he took me to my first ever race at Mossport Oval in 2003. It was for actually it was before that. It was probably 2002, and then first CASCAR race in 2003 at Mossport Oval. Then we went to Peterborough for 05, 06, and then hooked. He created a monster. Big into NASCAR, Winston Cup in 2002, and really big into all racing thanks to Speed Channel. And that was really the reason that I got into everything. But I didn't really know about any Ontario racing until we did the podcast, and not even really until 2021. So um, now my life is Ontario racing. I really don't like watching NASCAR anymore. So uh, it's all about this stuff, and it's because it means a lot more. Get to know the racers and get to know everybody as part of it, the tracks, and that's what happens. Anywho, everybody, have yourselves a great week. Thanks, Sean. I appreciate it. Have yourself a great weekend, great week, and hopefully, like I said, I'll be back next week, back on my regular chair, and hopefully not in so much pain. All right, everybody, have yourself a great night. Chat with you.